Hello there, and welcome to my part of this Inspire Week. And thank you so much, David, for allowing me to be here. So, as we get started, I want to tell you of an experiment that a professor once did in a university. The professor showed all the students something that was yellow. And he was talking about the differences in perception, in subjectivity, in individuality. And he showed the students this yellow item. And he said, see this? I want you to, for the next lecture, I would like for you to bring something that is in exact same shade of yellow. So everyone took notes, went home, came back the next day, and surprise, surprise, there were tons of yellow stuff in the room, but none of them that could actually match in exact shade and form to that yellow item that the professor shared with them the previous week. And why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this because this is a perfect example to how we see and do things in the world. We believe that we have the right answer, that we have the right shade of yellow. But actually, it is all to do with what the other person is doing and saying. So that, I can only make sure that I have the right yellow stuff if I see it in direct comparison with the other item. This is very important when we talk about language as well, because a lot of the time when we believe that we say something that everyone understands, actually no one can really understand what we mean. And I'll get back to that in a little bit. So let me introduce myself. My name is R.A.I.S Avni. I'm a confidence and empowerment catalyst, and I work with people on recognizing the negative self-talk and limiting beliefs, so that when they understand what is actually holding them back, they can create an extraordinary lives that they really want to have. So today, my talk is really about championing others. But there is a twist, because we're going to talk about how to champion others and not necessarily about how someone influenced my life. So this is actually part of everything that we're talking about language, why language is important. So I really want to start by telling you something about our brain and about the way that we process information. Excuse me. Our brain collects information from two different sources. On the one hand, it has the conscious mind, where it gets 34 bits of information per second from our 5 senses. So anything that we hear, see, smell, taste, touch. 34 bits of information coming from our senses. On the other hand, it has 2 billion bits of information that are coming in from our unconscious mind. It means that the brain has so much information to go through and to process that it has to create some coping mechanisms for itself to be able to process all this information. And the first thing that it does is that it puts all of this information that is coming in and it's passing it through 3 different filters. And the first filter is delete. That means that something comes in and the brain says, actually, I'm okay, I don't need to process that, and it deletes it. Basically, it doesn't process it. So, for example, if I'm sitting here and someone is sneezing in the background, our brain says, okay, do I need to process this? If I'm in an environment that is safe and happy and everything is fine, it will let it go because it doesn't deem it to be dangerous for me. It would be a completely different story if I was sitting here in this house by myself and all of a sudden I heard a sneeze. That would definitely alert me. So what the brain does, the first filter that it passes the information through is deleting. Do I need it? If yes, keep it. If not, delete. Don't even process. The second filter that it puts information through is distortion. So distort. And what does that mean? It means that the brain gets glimpses of information and it says, yes, I know that. I don't need to see the whole story because I already understand what is going on. Basically, our brain fills in the gap. It sees something and it says, I have the tool. I know what to do with it. I know how to make sense of this information. But this is all coming from our belief systems. So an example, say, you're sitting in your office and then the manager comes in and says, hey, can we have a chat? Now, depending on your previous experiences and belief systems, this is how you're now going to show up. So basically, the brain is helping you to distort what to do next. If in your experience, every time the manager says, hey, let's have a chat, that means, alarm, 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 you're going to get the sack, this is bad news, this will influence how you come into the session. This will influence how you're going to talk to the manager, how you're going to react. You basically already decided that you're going to protect yourself. If, on the other hand, you have no such experience and the manager says, hey, can we have a chat? And you're thinking, must be a promotion, must be a bonus, must be something along those lines, it means that this is how you would come into that meeting. So you see that the brain is using your past experiences and your belief systems to give you, to make, to influence how you're going to show up into whatever is happening in your life. So this is the second filter. And the last filter is generalize. And that means that the brain says, okay, I see a chair. I don't have to sit in it to know that it's a chair. I don't have to sit in it to know what it does. So basically, I'm generalizing the information. So, and this is, of course, very helpful to the brain because it doesn't need to process everything from scratch. So like I said, information is coming in, and now the brain is putting all of this information through the filters, and then it knows what to do with it. But even if this is quite helpful for the brain, it is not necessarily helpful for your actual information and conversation with your fellow people. Because it always means that you are listening with your own ears, your own understanding, and actually not necessarily what they are the information that they're trying to give you. Now, one thing I kind of forgot to mention earlier was a little bit about my own story. And I think it's relevant that I will just share a tiny little bit of that. Because I was growing up, I was always that person that always felt misunderstood. That no one really understood and seen me. I really felt unseen and ununderstood, misunderstood. And later on, growing up, I understood a little bit about that. So I understood that the way that I was showing up, although was, true to me, was authentic to myself, was completely misunderstood by the people I was growing up with. And the problem was that I gave them all of the powers. So it was like, okay, here is me. Do you understand me? No. That means that I'm in the wrong. That I was doing something that was not right. Instead of understanding, like maybe I do now, that it's actually nothing to do with them. If they understand me or not up to them, it's actually about me. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because this is something that we are going through life at all time. Are we understood? Are we being seen? Think back to a time in your life when you really felt that you met someone that had this conversation with you and you thought, wow, they really get me. And this really get me is to do with the 3 secrets of language that we're going to explore here now, that I'm basically giving you now so that you can have incredible communications with other people. So you can be that person that really gets and really understand other people. So we just mentioned earlier that the brain collects information. One of the ways that it collects information is through our 5 senses. So hear, see, touch, smell, taste. Each of us, we all think in images, but each of us has one sense that is in particular, is more profound, that is more active. Now, imagine that you are a visual person and I am auditory. It means that, if I am trying to get you to understand something that I'm saying, I need to use the right words. And this is basically about sense-based conversation, sense-based words. So if you're visual and I'm auditory and I say, does that sound right? Does it ring a bell? And you're like, huh? It doesn't connect. You don't actually understand what I want from you. On the other hand, if you say to me, does that seem right? Or can you paint me a picture? I would be like, I have actually no idea what you're talking about. Because the sense words that we are using are very important for us to complete our understanding. Now, does it sound does it sound right? Does it ring a bell? It seems right. These are words that maybe we are all more familiar with. But how about if someone was more, taste, has, the main taste, the main sense as a taste or smell. And if all of a sudden someone said to you, I get whiffs of resentment, or, something smells fishy, you wouldn't necessarily understand what it means. You might have an idea that, maybe it's not so good, but if you then needed to take this information and build something with it, that would be quite challenging, because we're not actually using the same language. So the thing to do here is to really listen to the conversation, the words that people are using in the conversation. What are the senses that they are bringing into the conversation? Now, if you already understand that, then you are already a step ahead of others. It means that you can match yourself to them. And see, it's like magic, how all of a sudden people say, okay, I understand now. So if you hear that you're, if you speak with someone and you realize what their sense-based words are, match yourself and you will see the magic happening. The next bit that I want to share with you, again, is about the conversation. It's words that we are saying that are either what I call away from or towards. So sometimes you meet someone and you feel, they're so negative. I like everything, they just see the gloom and doom, and I can't connect with them. If you pay attention again to the words that they're using, you will realize that they're using away from words. So basically, they're using words that are protecting them from something, from pain and discomfort. So, for example, I'll give you an example. If I say, for example, I want to be rich, great statement. The question is why? If I say I want to be rich so that I am not poor, this is moving away from problem. It's moving away from discomfort. It also means that this energy will only last until I am considering myself to be not poor. It means that if I'm thinking to be rich, I need to have £2,000 in my account at all time. As soon as I've reached that, then I no longer have energy to keep on going, which means I will die, which means that I will go broke very soon afterwards. If I use a toward benefits and advantage and rewards, I would say I want to be rich so that I have always money to pay for everything that I need and everything that I want. That means that the energy is endless. Now, why am I explaining about this at all? Because, like I said, we get the feeling of what the person is like from the words that they're using. Sometimes I'm using, like I'm talking with my mum, sorry mum, and I know that she does use a lot of words that are kind of moving away from pain. So it's like, you need to do this so that doesn't happen. Now, if I am not tuned in to this kind of conversation, I will feel that I'm very judged. I will feel that I am misunderstood. I will feel like there is a very, a problem in our communication. When I understand that she means well, and she just wants, she's just using words that, she's just using explanations of why I should do that to back up her argument, then I can let go of all of the negative energy and negative feelings and emotions that come up for me, because she means well. She just uses the reasoning, the wrong kind of reasoning. So pay attention to that as well, because you will come across as much more positive and energetic if you're using toward energy, which basically towards is always looking for the benefits, the why, the rewards, the rewards and why you should do this so that it will give you the positive energy. And the moving away from it's always very small, it's always very stuck, it's always, you need to do this so that doesn't happen. Now, the last one that I want to mention in conversation as well is about, actually this is a key one, and especially in a sense in a job scenario. So this is, the question is, how do you know when something that is being said is an opinion versus a request? And I must admit, I have this with my husband all the time. Like I would, we were standing in the garage the other day, and I said to him, and we recently replaced our car, and I said, oh, do you think the rooftop is suitable for the new car? So his reaction was, oh, so do you want me to sell the Do you want me to sell the rooftop? And I'm like, I didn't say that. It's got nothing to do with that. I was just asking, whether the rooftop suits the new car, because the other car was a little bit bigger than the one that we have. Another example is, if you are sitting in the office and, your manager says, oh, you did really well. And then you start thinking, does that mean that I didn't do so well before? Like, what does that mean? And you actually, some people don't really know to make the difference between, is it a request or is it actually an opinion? So actually, this is the difference of what is your listening type and your speaking type. So if you are an inferential speaker, you will go around the bush, basically. You will not give direct opinion. You will say, oh, maybe think about this, think about that, maybe this, maybe that. If an inferential speaker speaks to a direct listener, they will not understand each other, because a direct listener needs someone to say, do this, do that. So inferential speaker going around the bush, not saying, not getting to the point. Direct listener will have no idea what they want. And the other way around. If a direct speaker is talking to an inferential speaker, that would be exactly the same thing. It's like, hang on, what do you mean? What do you want to say? Are you giving me a command, or are you giving me an opinion? So I'm just giving you some tools to use in a conversation, so that really you feel, and you give the other person that is speaking with you the feeling of being heard, of being understood, because you can match yourself to the language of the other person. If you, like I said, if you're realizing that the other person is using away from words, and you actually makes more sense for you to speak words of to words, just pay attention to that, and you can direct them. So basically, someone says, I want to be rich so that I am not poor. You can help them see that actually, yes, so that you're not poor, and that you have money to spend on whatever you need and whatever you want. And basically, you're kind of helping them. You're like massaging them to start thinking about things more positively. So basically, you have the power to create really meaningful conversations. You have the power to help someone to get outside of whatever box they're finding themselves in, so that you can direct them where you want them to go. Not in a manipulative way, but in a way that expands their horizons. Now, it's really funny, because I said earlier about how language is so bizarre. I mean, it's a true miracle that we understand each other. Think, for example, of, if you come to me and you say, hey, I got a new car. How do I know, did you get a brand new car, or did you just replace your old one? This will depend very much on my upbringing, my belief systems, my attitude, my experiences. So if in my family we have tons of money, and we only ever buy brand new cars, then when you say I've got a new car, immediately I would think, yes, you got one from the dealership, or the dealer, wherever the word is. Or if I'm broke, and in my family we always ever got second hand, third hand, whatever hand car, then I would immediately understand that you've just replaced it. Going back to the distort filtering that we spoke about earlier, you will see that I'm distorting the information depending on my own understanding and upbringing and attitudes and belief systems. Same thing with, say, charity. That's another interesting one. If in my surroundings when I was growing up, we spoke about charity as an incredible thing, it's a good thing to give to other people. If you've got something you need to share, as soon as someone says to me, will you give something to charity? I would say, absolutely, here you go. If you, on the other hand, had the upbringing and the surroundings thinking that charity is a scam, and, why don't they go and, the government should give, or something along those lines, then if you come to the position of, will you give to charity, you will say, well, no, I don't dig that. The thing that I really want you to understand from all of this conversation is that you can use language to champion others. You can make the conversation and the communication extraordinary. You can make it so that people really feel that you really see them and feel them, and I don't want to say taste them or smell them, but but it's all about how you make people feel. So let me just quickly summarize the 3 secrets that I've given you. So the first one is that we all have unique model of the world. We all see and understand and interpret the world differently based on our belief systems, about our upbringing, the attitudes, the experiences, the memories, everything that we have already inside us. That means that this is what determines what goes out. So a lot of the time you have like he said, she said. If you just remember, if you pause for a second and then you remember that actually you don't really speak the same language, what they did or what they say doesn't have to be translated perfectly into your world, at least you're going to give them a chance. You're not going to immediately be super offended or super enraged or all of that, because you will understand that maybe what they were thinking or what they brought into the conversation is different to what you do. Okay, so each person has their own model of the world, which means that they have their own senses and their own memories and their own upbringing, and that comes into the conversation. Just be patient, be kind, understand that people don't usually do things or say things in a malicious way. They don't, that's not the first thing that comes out. People usually try to do their best, and their best just might translate slightly differently to your own model of the world. The second secret that we covered today is that language is not it is subjective, it's not objective. And really it means that although we use words that we believe that we all understand, actually it all depends on our model of the world. It all depends on what we make of it. It's not like, okay, if I say you don't love me, or I do love you, or whatever it is, what is love, right? To some people, love means flowers and chocolates, and to other people, love means, you spend time with me. So everything that we are saying is everything that we are saying is kind of assume that you don't understand is what I'm trying to say. Ask yourself, what does it mean? Ask the other person, what did you mean? Do I understand correctly? Did I hear correctly? Did I process what you just said correctly? Find the right way of doing it. Maybe not necessarily when someone just said, I love you. I say, hang on, what do you mean? So the last secret is really it's really powerful gift for you to have this understanding that when you're listening to some words in the conversation, you can then turn it around. Because the secret of great communication is the results you get. If you didn't get the result that you were after, you probably did something that didn't compute with the other person. So listen to the words, this sense-based words, the energy. Is it away from or is it towards? Are you an inferential speaker or are you a direct speaker? And who is your listener? Are they direct or inferential speaker? Sorry, listeners. So when you have all of this information, all of this knowledge at your hands, you can use that to turn any conversation around. Now you can really go out and champion people. You can go there and celebrate them because you understand them in a way that a lot of other people don't understand them. Maybe no one has ever showed them this kind of understanding, because language is everything. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them below. And yes, thank you for being a part of it. And thank you, the community, for allowing me to speak about championing people from a different perspective today. Thank you. Bye.